Hi guys, welcome to Matt Bajerski YouTube channel. Just a quick shout out to say I'm really excited. Well, I think anybody would be. The book has now arrived, and because I've come back from Europe, they're now in my hand, so I'm able to see them and feel them and look how big and thick that is. I couldn't believe it. I went, it's that big. So I'm filled with excitement, but what I didn't tell a lot of people is that I started working on an audiobook, and I spent ages trying to find somebody's voice, the perfect voice that would fill in the void of me with my Yorkshire accent. So I found somebody who was a professional and brilliant, and he's worked through it, and it's so beautiful. So I've created now a beautiful audiobook. So that audiobook is now on mattbajerski.com, and the link will be underneath if you want to download the audiobook. But you know what? I'm going to give you a free chapter right now. And I hope you enjoy it. It's one of the stories which have many stories in here that touch my heart and my clients' and friends' hearts that changed our lives. I really hope you enjoy it. I really do. And I'm going to leave it at that. So enjoy.
Chapter 7. Sleeping Beauty. My work was going extremely well at this time, and my love of crystals was deepening. After working with a crystal for many hours, days, weeks and months, it would always find its way right to the soul of whoever really needed it. This was happening so often, and I guess, even to this day, I never stop gifting crystals, thousands upon thousands over the years, and they have each truly made a difference in the life of whoever receives them. The journey begins with first searching for that perfect crystal. This could be anywhere and at any time. Through my crystal shop, a fair or exhibition, through a friend, a stranger, or even finding them in Mother Nature. I spend literally hours and hours personally selecting each crystal. Cherry-picking, I call it. I feel each one, hold it, and connect to each piece. This has always been, and is still, so very important to my work. I believe the sellers of each crystal I buy must love to see me coming, because we always discuss the energies and have some amazing in-depth conversations, sharing stories of how our crystals change and save people's lives. I have always believed that all the work, loving crystals and placing pure energy healing into each one of them, brings many rewards, and today I feel I have one of the most successful shamanic and crystals websites in the world. So much so that it brings tears to my eyes just saying these words. At any one time on each of my travels, I would have about 200 pure energy healing crystals with me, each one worked on and filled with healing properties. Each time one of these crystals is called to rest on one of my clients about to have a pure energy healing session with me, I quickly understand how that particular crystal has absorbed the very healing energy Spirit would send through me to the client. To explain a bit more, let's say a client comes to me for an hour's healing session because he or she had lost a loved one to our spirit world. If I placed a crystal on his or her heart for 1 hour of healing, that very crystal would now hold the memory of the same energy that just healed my client from their heartache. Then, if I met someone on my travels and they had lost a loved one to our spirit world, that very same crystal would come out and be hung around their neck as a pure energy working healing crystal to heal them. To this day, nothing much has changed. In fact, only the other day here in Bali, I had pulled up on my motorbike to go into my favourite cafe bar to continue my writing of this book. After 20 minutes or so, I realised that I had left my phone in a small compartment of my bike. I ran back to where it was parked, feeling sure that my phone would be long gone. Sure enough, my heart sank as I could not find it. As I stood there, a man appeared to the left of me. He was smiling, and he held my phone in his hand. He had been waiting there with it in order to return it safe and sound to me. I was really taken aback by his kindness. "What's your name?" I asked him. "Ajish," he replied, handing me my phone. I took out my wallet to give him a well-deserved reward. Please accept this as a gesture to thank you for your honesty, I said, handing him some money. Oh no, he answered with a smile. I cannot accept your money. We are friends now, and friends do not take money from friends. His genuine kindness almost moved me to tears, and so I quickly removed one of my newest prototype pendants, a beautiful and powerful combination of moldavite, tektite, and Herkimer diamond, from around my neck. You must accept this pendant then, please, I insisted, and I was delighted when he agreed to accept it. Now let us digest this for a moment. Could it be that there was a much bigger picture in play? Could it be that this special young man was about to transform his life, and Spirit needed to bring 3 special crystals together to help him, ones that would help him in a profound way? It seems that the only way this would happen was to have me forget to pick up my phone on a certain day when this young man would be walking past at precisely the right moment to see it. Do you see how amazing this moment was? Spirit is truly amazing, and over many years I have come to see life through these amazing, magical moments that are happening all around us all the time. If only we could stop and recognize them, the world would change and heal in a day. I'm happy to share with you now another beautiful story about my working healing crystals. I had ended a full day's work in my healing studio and was later at the Tamisa Golf Hotel, hosting a circle ritual evening. The night started out happily with people entering the room with huge smiles, joy and anticipation for what was about to happen. I always set up a little table at the entrance prepared with healing oils, crystals and shamanic tools. When everyone was sitting comfortably, the room became still and quiet, and I was ready to begin. Suddenly the door opened again and 2 ladies walked in. "So sorry, Mark," said one of them as she rushed into the room. "The traffic coming here was just terrible." I smiled quietly at her, and then, for some unknown reason, I found myself turning quickly to the table on which I put my oils and crystals. I had placed only 1 crystal on it at that point, and it was hanging on a cord. Without thinking, I swept it up and placed it gently around the neck of the lady who had just apologized. The crystal, a beautiful deep turquoise in colour, was a sleeping beauty. She looked at me with great surprise, then asked, "Mark, why me?" I smiled and replied, "Because Spirit told me to." Still looking somewhat bewildered, she walked towards the end of the room and took her seat. I began the ritual as always by giving a deep and uplifting talk about how to self-heal. I recall channeling a deep message about how to trust your intuition, explaining that it is possible to actually concentrate, listen, and feel your physical body. It can and will tell us of any blocks or possible manifestations which can and do result in physical issues. In all my talks around the world, I continually understand how Spirit always knows what to channel through us all, and to this day, in all my circles and events, I have never once prepared a talk in advance of one. I know that in any room or situation, Spirit will guide me with the message that the people are ready to hear. Now all I do before a talk is simply walk onto the stage or into the circle. I light a candle, feel the energy in the room, and then allow the truth and love to pass through me from Spirit. I can tell you that Spirit has never once failed me. I was coming to the end of my talk and had shared with the group a few simple steps on how to scan their bodies using the hands to try and feel any blocks to heal. They had been given a little helping hand, of course, and I walked around, placing my hands on each of them, which ignites the person's own healing abilities. The lights were dimmed, and I was playing beautiful, healing music as we got into the main part of the evening. I was drawn to work with a lovely lady who had arrived a little late, so I walked directly to her at the bottom of the room. Instantly, my left hand was burning as though it had been set on fire. It hovered gently over her chest area, slightly above her breast and along her throat area. I looked at the beautiful crystal resting against her and smiled as I realized how the length of cord was perfect, allowing the crystal to sit exactly in the middle of where my palm was hovering over her. I began to feel extreme heat in my body, and then a burning sensation started in my chest. I knew then that there was an issue with this lady. I continued the healing. The heat in my hand was so great, and I still remember the feeling of pain in my hand and chest. It was intense. However, over the years I have come to understand that when the pain is unbearable, in fact, true, deep healing is taking place. True to form, in this very moment, with this lovely lady and the intense burning, all I kept repeating under my breath was, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." About 15 minutes later the pain had eased, and so I moved on to the next soul and continued my healing on everyone else present in the room. About an hour later I had made my way around to the very top of the room. My hand was placed over the head of a beautiful young girl, and I remember feeling very intense, powerful energy in the room that night. The music was really soothing, and I was very much in the flow. Suddenly I heard a loud scream of alarm from the bottom corner of the room. I opened my eyes and saw it was the lady to whom I had gifted the crystal. She was moving about in her seat, bending over, then sitting back up again. Then she went back into a meditative state. All was calm again, and so I thought nothing more of it. Another hour passed, and my healing work was done. The lights in the room were turned back on, and with the night ending, people began to leave, giving each other a big hug and saying their goodbyes. A few months passed until once again I was welcoming my guests to yet another beautiful circle evening. This night was to be a flower reading circle event. It is a beautiful gift to learn how to read flowers, and one that I treasure. Someone very special had passed this knowledge on to me, and they had asked if I would continue this ancient wisdom and keep it alive. Everyone attending had been asked to bring along a flower. I had set up 2 chairs in the centre of the room where I would give each person a personal flower reading. I do this by looking into the flower they have chosen and channeling the message from within it. It was a beautiful evening, and once again, as we were finishing up for the night, people were hugging one another with smiling faces and uplifted hearts as they were saying their goodbyes. Once everyone had left and the room was still and quiet again, I noticed that there was a lady waiting around at the far end of the room. I smiled to her, wondering how I knew her. She picked up her handbag off the ground and then walked towards me. "Hi, Mark. Do you remember me?" she asked warmly. "Yes, I do remember you, but I'm sorry, I'm not sure from where," I answered. That sounds dreadful, right? But the truth is that my work makes it so that I instantly forget everything with those I have read for, and sometimes just in general with people I meet. Many consider me to be very rude when I don't remember their names, or who they are, or where we've met. Think about it, though. How might it be if I were to hold on to all the client readings, their painful situations, problems, issues, and emotions? It's guaranteed that by now I would be a wreck. In fact, I would hardly have lasted a year in this work. So I trained myself, my mind and my thoughts, to instantly let go under these work situations. "Okay, Mark," the lady replied. "Let me share my story with you." After she said those words, I was a little nervous and hoped I'd done nothing wrong. That side of me will never leave. School and teachers have made sure of that. My conditioning and brainwashing had given me a belief that I was a troublemaker. Any time a pupil in the classroom had been up to mischief, it seemed always to land back on me. This belief became so ingrained in me that even though I'm a healer, I still carry some of the fear instilled into me by my teachers, and a system that killed my spirit and confidence as a young boy. "Is everything okay?" I asked. "Have I done anything wrong?" "Oh, no, Mark, not at all," she replied reassuringly. Then she continued, "Allow me to explain. A few months ago I arrived here late to your circle event. You gifted me a crystal as I walked through the door, a turquoise blue one. Do you remember?" "Oh, yes, I remember that night. Yes," I said, feeling much relief and joy that I could actually recall gifting the crystal pendant. "Mark, on that night you placed your hand on my heart for healing. I can't tell you how much pain I was in that very same place where you had placed your hand. This also happened to be where the crystal was hanging from my neck, the one you gifted me. Then something incredibly strange happened. When I felt that you had finished healing me, I got quite a shock. It felt to me that you had only just moved your hand away, and so I opened my eyes. only to discover that you were already right at the other end of the room, giving healing to the little girl at the time. I started to think how very strange the night was, and in the next moment, well, I almost jumped out of my skin. You see, the crystal you'd given me suddenly shattered. For absolutely no reason, it broke into 4 pieces. I swear that I'm not lying, Mark, though I could hardly believe it myself. I got such an awful fright that I'm almost ashamed to say I let out a scream. I was very embarrassed at that moment. I'm sorry. This really had set me thinking back now. That's right, I said to her, as the night's events began to come back to me. I do recall something like that happening in the room that night. Wow! How very strange indeed. I had no idea. Well, hold on, Mark. Let me tell you what happened after that, she replied. By now I was completely intrigued. All through that night I kept seeing this crystal smashing on my chest. The words that you had shared with us that night, "Listen to your body, it never lies," just kept repeating over and over in my mind. I found myself in floods of tears with the knowledge that something inside was wrong. I realized that over the last few months I've been denying it, refusing to face it. That night, however, I knew it was time, and the next day I went to see my doctor. They found cancer, exactly where you had placed your hand to heal me, exactly where the crystal sitting on my chest had shattered. I sat there taking in her every word. She carefully pulled down the neck of the jumper she was wearing and showed me the scar from the operation she'd had. Mark, on that day that I went to the doctor, they decided to remove the cancer straight away. It happened so fast, and the most amazing news is that the operation was successful. I have made a full recovery. I just had to share this with you, she said, with tears rolling down her face. The doctors told me I was extremely lucky to have caught the cancer at an early stage. I was feeling overwhelmed with joy, and she smiled at me and said, "Mark, I'm eternally grateful for the gift of the crystal, for that night, and for you." I hugged her tightly, saying, "It wasn't me that helped you, it was your family in spirit. And never forget that you, with the power of trust and the gift of listening to your body, you were the one to make this happen." Then I said to her with the deepest sincerity, "I am overjoyed that you were a very good student that night. When asked to learn and listen to your body, you did exactly that. Be very proud of yourself."